Let's get
All right,
it.
guys, we're live here. I think I'm live. We got some people in the chat. I got my man CapN Ronnie Kelley from Texas. So we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of things tonight. We're going to talk about winter fishing. We're going to talk about We're going to
Winter?
unbox this 6 cents box because I got some good stuff in here. And I can't hear Ronnie at all. Okay, now I can.
You can't hear me?
Mind.
Yeah, it's because I wasn't saying nothing. I tricked you.
We also got another guest in the house tonight. Are we going to introduce Joe Don?
For all the ladies and gentlemen at home, all two ladies and all the gentlemen, it's JD in the house.
So JD,
what's up?
Yeah,
JD's
so we got to
partner.
include the fishing partner.
So
what really JD is the BS stopper. You know, when that stuff happens, he can cut it off.
Yes. Yes. He's kind of the technical advisor, financial advisor.
The only reason this is happening right now.
The only reason I'm not in jail right now.
We all have to have a guy like that. So, you know, I'm not a drinker, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you what's the flavor cocktail tonight, Ronnie Kelley?
It's mine's a little Crown with a lot of Sprite, and Joe Don's is a lot of Crown with a little Sprite.
Cheers to you, bud. Give you the old Mountain Dew.
Hey, cheers.
Chuck Cable says, "Yo, Ronnie, what's up?" So give us a rundown. What have you been doing there in the Texas area, Ronnie Kelley? I know you've been boat flipping a lot of bass.
I'm glad you asked, dude. I'm glad you asked because fishing's been good. You know, we're down here in Texas, so it's just now kind of getting cold. But here's the kicker: when it gets cold, I start chasing those power plant lakes.
Yep.
See what I'm doing there? I'm looking for that frog, but I've been catching them on a frog, man.
Well, we got some power plant lakes here around me, but not. They're like, because of our government, they're shutting down all the fossil fuel stuff, so they're not generating a lot of power anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So,
Who do we blame on that? Who's to blame?
I don't like to point fingers. I'm just going to assume that we think we know what we're doing and trying to evolve technology, which.
Yeah. What happens if we can't?
Well, I don't ever frog fish in the winter, so I'm just going to keep doing my thing and keep jerking.
Yeah. No, fishing's been great, dude. So in East Texas this time of year, there's a lot of ways to catch them. In fact, you could pretty much catch them however you want because we do have power plant lakes. At Fork, you know, it's rattle traps, chatterbaits, jerkbaits, Alabama rigs, that sort of deal. But then, man, I go to the power plant lakes, it's swim jig, flipping grass, frogging, bed fishing, that sort of deal, swim bait and that sort of deal. So, you know, I kind of chase that bite, you know. The size goes down a little bit for me if I'm at power plant lakes. You got to kind of stay on Fork and those lakes right there to kind of get the big bites. But I like to set the hook.
Oh, we got a $10 make you holler right off the bat from Andrew Lemonek. He says, great content and love to support it. Keep it up, brother. You know what? We're going to keep on rolling the content. Whether it's with...
Do I have to show my boobs for that? Or
no, not tonight.
My boobs for that?
Anything over $25, though, you will have to.
Okay.
But if we get 25 and you have to show your boobs, then I'll slide you some in your PayPal. So it's worth it. Someone said, go Vols. Wow, we are the worst college football team I've seen in 2 decades. Just absolute shit. I'm sorry. Like, I'm numb. I watch them, and I was watching today, and I just like, man, I really can't wait to stream Ronnie Kelley tonight. Like, I did not even care.
Man, you know, football's kind of it's a weird deal this year for me. I haven't watched a lot of it.
We got a Ronnie Kelley question here in the chat. It's a Ronnie, what's a good underrated small lake in Texas no one knows about?
Which part of Texas? There's a bunch of
them. Oh, dude. Which part of Texas? There's a bunch of them. Merval, Lake Merval. I'm going to throw Merval out there. Merval's in Carthage, Texas. I mean, it can't be over about 7,000 acres, maybe even 5. And it's freaking got giants. My buddy caught a couple big ones. He caught 11 and a half on a frog last year. So Lake Merval gets the vote for me on small, underrated East
I've
Texas
never even
lakes.
heard of that, and I've heard of a lot of the places you fish.
I don't know what you're talking about. Joe trying to give out.
They don't give out anything that's like, you gotta rub somebody's ball sack to get in. We just need a public lake that doesn't get fished a whole lot. People drive by and goes, man, it looks gross.
We got a bunch of them.
We got so many.
G-word, dude.
See, they asked for one, and Jodan's wanting to show you everything, man.
Yeah, great fishing partner. That's the kind of guy I like to get in the boat with.
No, you can't fish with him.
Hey,
he's off limits.
It's one thing to talk about. It's a different thing if you go selling your partner's waypoints,
Yep, 100%. Selling waypoints.
Yeah, we don't do that here on this stream. Let's see here. Someone said they bought an ESP rod, which is great. Good rods. Appreciate that, Andrew. I think you'll like it. What's the lake that was in Mount Pleasant they closed down?
Monticello. Hey,
man.
Quick fact. I was the very last boat on Lake Monticello. They closed the gate behind me. I was on a guide trip and I ran out of gas. Yeah. That's not a good...
I don't know what that frogging.
Bro, I was running a guide trip special called the Frogging and Flipping Special. Same price, but it was just frogging. I was like, all we're doing is frogging and flipping. And we were going in the mornings fishing Monticello. About 10:30, 11 o'clock, we'd load up, drive down the road to Lake Welsh. So one day we're running back to the boat ramp. My motor starts shaking, and man, it just shuts down. And I'm like, freaking powerhead, dude. I'm like, I've never blown a show, and all of a sudden I've blown a show powerhead. And I'm cranking it, and it's just, woo, the whole motor's shaking, And I'm like, man, this sucks, dude. I'm going to be off the water for a week or so. And then it just dawns on me. Like, I haven't put gas in my boat in 2 weeks because these lakes are so small. So we trolled back to the boat ramp, loaded up. There were some guys standing at the boat ramp or at the fence, and I didn't think anything about it. A couple hours later, I get a text. Monticello is closed. And let me tell you something about Monticello. If you didn't have 30 pounds at Monticello, you didn't have no damn hooks on your baits. That's just about the only thing. It was so good, dude. I mean, it was just...
And there was multiple. And the thing about that lake was that however you wanted to catch them, like whatever you felt like doing that day, you could just go out there and do it. It didn't matter.
Unbelievable. Topwater in January, whacking them.
Dude.
Going a spook, whack.
If you wanted to run up north and go on the pads and throw a big swim bait, you could do it. If you wanted to go punching, you wanted to go throw a jerkbait on the bridge. I mean, it didn't matter what you did. You could.
You're kind of getting me excited. Isn't there like a golf course right on that thing?
No, that's...
What's the like that? It's around Mount Pleasant. It's got like a golf course on it. Or maybe it's just a big pond. Because I was on there like for 2 days.
I don't know. There's a lot of lakes around there. Welsh, Monticello, Bob Sandlin, and Cypress Springs are all within 5 or 6 miles.
I drove around. I think where I'm talking about is near Bob Sandlin.
Cypress Springs.
Somebody asked why did they close it?
So it was owned by a power plant company, and
man, was that question addressed to me or Jodan?
Which one?
You want to explain?
We gonna have a damn talking stick. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So a power plant company owned that lake and all the property around it, and they, not to get into politics, but where we're at, the power plant they closed the power plant down. So
whose fault was that?
That lake is now, they owned all the property around it and they closed it down, and they actually, what the boat ramp was, they gave a permit out to a guy. He was able to run the boat ramp there for a little while.
So
for the boat ramp.
The guy that ran the boat ramp was just tired of taking care of the porta potties and stuff. Basically, is what I heard.
Yeah.
So so the dude doesn't want to clean the toilets, so he just screws all the bass fishermen in East Texas.
Wow. Yeah, that's a bad deal. Here's a question on this. So, if you're fishing topwater in January, December, almost punt lakes, how much does your selection or retrieve differ to, like, fall? I'm fishing topwater about as fast as I can. Because it's a power plant lake and that water's warm, are you still pretty much in go fast mode?
Yeah, I'm just going fishing. I very seldom do I have a preconceived notion on how I'm going to particularly work a bait. the reality is we all work something a certain way. You throw a chatterbait out there, you kind of retrieve it the same. And if something happens and a bass bites it when you're burning it, then you might burn it a little bit, or you slow it down. You catch one, you might slow it down. But the reality is we all kind of go out there and we fish a bait the way that we fish that bait. So if I'm walking a spook, I go out there and I walk my spook. And if I have one miss it, then I might speed it up. And if they start to eat it, then I might keep that pace up. But if they don't, and I slow it down, then that's sort of the way that works. But man, normally, like for instance, right now, tomorrow I'm going to Martin Creek. I'm going to throw a frog, and my frog retrieve is going to be, it's not going to be so much as a steady walk as it is just a twitch, just that hard spit and sputtering, because I'm trying to trigger pre-spawn and cruising bass. So that's kind of how I look at that deal. But the water's going to be in your 60s to 70s. So they're going to eat. And it's pre-spawn, so they're eating. They're
I don't know if you're going to like this or not, but they must think Joe Don's pretty cute. We've had a lot of people ask who's Ronnie's partner. So that is Ronnie's fishing partner, Joe Don. And I know him through Facebook. He's a pretty funny dude. He actually, if you were on Instagram, he's the one that made the Baitman a proclamation Photoshop.
This is the meme master right here. This is the meme master.
But Joe Don's just here. He can talk whenever. But you know what we got to do, Ronnie? Because I haven't really talked about a lot of baits lately. And since you're Sixth Sense guy, Joe Don, I guess Joe Don is. I mean, he pretty much uses all your stuff too. So we got a bunch.
Yeah, everything he gets, I just take it. So.
Let's see if we can answer some questions before we get into this, because I'll get long-winded. Justin Cook wants to know. He was talking to somebody in the chat. What's up, Hobie Rice? For Ledgehog Baits is here. I got your package, Hobie. We're gonna be doing an unboxing this week, not on stream. I want to make a really good one. Let's see. Have you ever fished Lake Whitney?
Man, I haven't fished Whitney. I do know it's a good lake, and I hear a lot of guys fishing it. And I know Frank Talley kind of talked about, cranking out there and stuff, but I've actually never fished it. It's got smallies in it.
Really?
But no, I hadn't fished it, man.
Never had a reason. Spencer Whitney says, does Ronnie have any Kistler rods, or is he just wearing the hat for pro staff?
I've got enough Kistler rods to open my own Kistler shop. Yeah, absolutely. Love Kistler rods. It's the only rods.
John Wells wants to know, what bourbon are you drinking?
No bourbon, just Canadian whiskey.
Some Crown. It's that Crown there. Who was it?
John Welsh.
Hey, John. Cheers, baby.
Man, comments are rolling in right now. Frank Hazley, best Sixth Sense jig setup for cold water. Frank's my dude, man. I've known Frank Hazley for years. He is a freaking hammer out here as a co-angler.
Well, he's talking dirty.
He's a good dude.
I like that.
He's talking about a swim jig setup earlier here, actually.
Yeah, I think on a jig setup. So for me, in the cold, I'm gonna do things a little bit different. I'm gonna kind of downsize my jig. So I'm going to let's talk about depth. So if I'm 4 to 8 to 10 foot of water, I'm like 3 8-ounce weight max, and I want to go a little bit darker color, unless I'm in crystal clear water. But I love black and blue. For some reason, those fish tend to eat that black and blue when it's cold, right? And then the biggest deal is that slow fall for me. So you either speed it up or you slow it down when it's cold. So you're either trying to get a reaction bite or you're trying to slow it down. Most of the time you're trying to slow it down. So I'm going down to like a 3/8-ounce jig, and then I'm putting a stroker crawl. And my favorite setup when it's cold, and kind of a lot of times, but especially when it's cold. When it's cold, I don't feel like bass are as temperamental as when it's warm. When it's warm and they're aggressive, they can be a little bit more picky,
right.
It seems like.
I agree with that.
I'm throwing natural. But when it's cold, man, the black and blue is just real tough to beat. So I'm throwing black and blue jig with a green pumpkin stroker crawl, and that's kind of my wintertime go-to jig.
I'm a big fan of that stroker crawl. I'm going to show the new colors off here in a second, but
man, I got to do something. I need that Baitman discount or something, because I'm going through stroker crawls like baby diapers. It's bad.
So we're going to go fishing in February. I'm going to come to Choke Canyon or wherever Ronnie wants to take me. Hell, we may go to Rock Pit. I don't know. I got one problem. How the hell am I getting all this tackle to Texas? They don't call me the bait man just to call me that. It's usually because they're like, gosh, damn, son, how much did you bring with you? So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but bring a lot of stroker draws.
Yeah, I'm going to have to buy a topper for my truck just so I can make this trip. But we're going to get into I saw some good questions, too. Somebody asked, Ronnie, do you throw any big swim baits?
Yes.
Hell to the yeah. Yes, I do. I love big swim baits. I like glide baits, and I really like soft swim baits. Smash Tech makes some good stuff. The Babe's a great one. The Rising Sun, 316 Rising Sun is probably my favorite.
I like the Rising Sun. I just found one today, a bluegill 7-inch Rising Sun.
Hey, dude, don't sleep on that bluegill, baby. That's my favorite color.
All right, why do you like the bluegill so much? Because it's just natural?
Because bass eat the shit out of bluegill, man.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Number one, let me tell you, it's story time real quick,
all
okay?
Right.
So it was a long time ago, probably 13, 14 years ago. Me and a buddy of mine were fishing tournaments together, and he's oil field. Everybody here, Jodan's oil, everybody's oil field here. So my buddy's in the oil field, and he's got a guy that he works with, and this guy had a friend from California, or an associate or somebody. So this guy right here fishes with this guy from California, and they throw the Rising Sun and they smash. Well, this guy goes back and fishes with my tournament partner, and he tells my tournament partner about the Rising Sun. So my tournament partner gets a couple Rising Suns. He puts them in the boat. Me and him go out to the lake. I made my very first cast with the Rising Sun. And as that Rising Sun got to my boat, I looked, and there were 3 bass that were probably 6 to 8 pounds each. My first cast with this Rising Sun. And they're following this deal in. So, I mean, just being a typical bass fisherman, obviously, I throw that a lot.
Yeah.
Now. And we smashed. We fished a tournament. We had like 20-something pounds in a 3-fish tournament on that bait.
I'm gonna go. Hey, well, still, they don't bite a big swim bait at Falcon Lake either. So let everybody know that.
Jodon and I went last year down in 2019. We went down. I got a lot at Falcon Lake down in South Texas, and Jodon and I went down there. And the big deal at Falcon Lake's like, man, they don't bite a swim bait, right? So you've seen a lot of tournaments play out at Falcon.
Big worms, big crankbaits, big jigs, just standard
big
stuff.
Jig. There's never, dude. I know all the locals down there. I know everybody down there. A big swim bait's not a deal. Last year we went down there and we were fishing, and Edwin Evers was filming a show, and we're sitting there and we see old Easy E in there just cranking away. You know, it was a little bit tough bite. It was January, and Jodon picks up a 5-inch Rising Sun, and I just looked at him. I said, "Hey, bud, you ain't got a hair on your ass if you don't throw that bait out there and catch one." And so 2 or 3 casts into it, he catches a 3-pounder. So fast forward, I take the Rising Sun, and I take Smash Tech makes a really, really good bait, comparable, probably a little bit less expensive, but a really, really good bait. And I threaded it up with an 8/0 owner flashy swimmer. And Bob, I'm telling you right now, we went to wrecking that. I mean, it was unbelievable. And what was happening is those pre-spawn fish were staging in channels up in these hardwoods. And so when I would get really nice bluebird conditions with just a little bit of wind or no wind, I could throw that bait and get a kind of a that up, that when they come up, when they're like this and they're looking up and they're like, ooh, kind of like that jerkbait bite. And man, it was crazy, dude. I mean, it was an 8 to 10 pounder a day. I
think that's when
the numbers went up when we started throwing that swim bait
it was good.
And usually, which is not the case, you start throwing a big swim bait and you're just looking for one bite,
right.
and then the amount of bites that started happening and just skyrocketed.
I think that's about the time me and you first became Facebook friends, because I remember seeing some of you and EE at Falcon and stuff like that.
Yeah, I went and pinned him up.
Whole buzzard.
That's right. All right,
he didn't like me calling him a whole buzzard, dude. It was funny.
All right, I'm gonna pause for a second. I'm not going nowhere. Just pause the story time because it's the bait show. I've got some new spinnerbaits that have come out by my man Ryan Coleman over at Spot Sticker. So I'm gonna let guys know I'm gonna have a giveaway on the show here. So it's YouTube only. After me and Ronnie get done and the video gets processed to YouTube and I make a new thumbnail or whatever, all you got to do is leave a comment, and I'm going to throw in a pair of these new spinnerbaits plus 2 new baits from 6 Cents that you're going to see here. So all you got to do is watch tonight, leave a comment, or if you're watching afterwards, make sure you leave a comment on the video. You'll get internet only to YouTube subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Yeah, that was a shameless plug, but hey, we got to see these spinnerbaits. Everybody's been asking.
Are these the spinnerbaits that are jank juice?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. So here's the what they call. I gotta hold it down here for Ronnie, and then let's see.
Oh, I got you on my phone, baby.
Oh man, look at you. So this is the spot sticker shad head. This is Baitman Special. Kind of similar to the Nichols a little bit, but the skirt's just a little bit brighter. I really like the traditional shad head. Matter of fact, Ronnie, Ryan says, hey, this isn't an original mold. He said other companies share it. That is the same head design as a Santone. The Santone's big spinnerbait. Yep.
Is that the guy that asked him what his favorite crankbait was?
I don't know.
Kevin, is that the guy that asked you what your favorite crankbait color was?
Yes, yes. So that's the guy's. Ryan's about 2 months ago. He's like, "Hey man, what's your favorite crankbait color?" And I sent him the jank juice, and he basically matched the skirt to it. But these are on the Spot Sticker website. It's actually on the front page of the Baitman Special. They're all made in the United States. Ryan's a great guy. Probably going to get him on one of these streams to talk some spotted bass fishing. So that's the shad head, and then we've got the other Baitman Special, which is the 3/4 ounce mini me, made for burning. Which I am a mini me, so it really fits me well. But there's the compact 3/4 ounce, made for burning. If you want to fish over the top of some grass,
that's
fish
awesome.
fast. Oh yeah, dude, they'd slay this thing right now with some overcast sky.
Bro, I need that for choke, dude.
They're coming. I promise you, I'm bringing these to Choke Canyon.
Oh, that's gonna be dirty at choke.
Yeah.
What is that like?
3/4 ounce.
3/4 ounce.
But yeah, see, Joe Don, it's got that hidden weight down there, and really don't fish these with trailers because you want them to react to it. You know, you're not trying to.
You know what that is, right? Hey, he puts all his weight in the shaft.
Yeah.
Not in
the
head.
one thing over a War Eagle, a lot of the War Eagles just don't hold up. Great spinnerbait. Like I still throw a War Eagle all the time, but after 2-3 fish, man, you might as well just chunk it back in the lake because they don't run right.
Hey, you know what? You know what War Eagle makes that nobody talks about? Is that midnight buzz.
Midnight buzz. The black buzz bait with black blade.
It's that big blade.
Oh yeah.
Dog. It's that.
Shit, son, I got one right here next to me.
I don't
think
Kevin's ready for what Bayou Burner's asking y'all going gator snagging and choke. I don't think he's ready for those.
Bayou Burner said y'all going gator snagging and choke. Hell to the nut.
No, I've been alligator gar hunting up there though.
Hey, these alligators that choke, I don't.
They're like
never seen anything like it.
It's like a Disney
really?
ride.
When I was there, we seen some pretty big ones.
Did you say you had that midnight buzz?
Yeah,
it's just a real big bladed buzz bait. It's great cold water. Water's 55 degrees to 60 degrees. That's
the reason I got one is on me and my wife's second or third date. I tied one on for her and she caught like a 6.5. I was like, okay, you're the one. It's just, I think this should be the one you're talking about, right? With that big old platinum black blade.
Hold on just a second. It's got to come
It's
through.
different on the computer.
That's it. That's it.
Dude, so the reason I like this thing, and you tell me why you like it. I like it because one, it casts really good. Two, you can really creep this thing, but it's got a really good squeak to it.
It's all about the presentation. It's all about being able to fish that bait extremely slow when the water's cool. You know, in East Texas, we're fishing a lot of. Obviously, up there you guys are too, but we start fishing in the back of the creeks in the northern flat areas of our lakes, our reservoirs. You know, the fish start to get. You know, my deal is if the fish are in shallow water, they'll eat it. I don't give a shit what the temperature is. If they're in shallow water, they'll eat a buzzbait. And so when that water's 55 to 60 degrees, that buzzbait right there will outfish any other buzzbait that I've ever fished.
Yeah, that's the reason I got it. I actually have done really good. They make a white one with a silver blade with some red tape on it, and I've done the best on that buzzbait when the water here has hit like 58 to 60 degrees, where I can reel it really slow. Yeah. Like when those fish first come up, they're really dirt shallow, and it's been cold, and they make that push for that initial feed. A lot of guys are flipping and pitching and, you know, throwing square bills, which I love to do. But, dude, when you've had a couple warm days in a row, you take that buzzbait behind some guys, and you can flat catch some big ones.
No doubt.
Hey, man, you got all kinds of questions coming in here, Ronnie. I don't want to talk over for you.
No, let's go. Let's roll.
First one was I'll answer this one. This one's for me. Baitman, any tips on fishing for brownfish on Del Hollow? Yes. If you're going right now, throw a football jig, float and fly. That's the deal in the winter at Del Hollow. But Ronnie, what's a good Kistler rod for a 1/4 to 3/8 ounce swim jig?
That's funny. I'm actually throwing that swim jig a lot right now. I'm throwing it. I'm throwing it. So first of all, you got to ask yourself, what are you throwing it on? Are you throwing 17 or 20 pound fluoro, or are you throwing braid? I'm throwing 50 pound braid, and I'm actually throwing mine on a 7.3 medium heavy. Well, no, I'm actually throwing it on a 7-foot medium heavy. Now, if I'm making really long casts, I'm going up to a 7.3 medium heavy helium. But the deal is with a swim jig, you got to remember this. It's a high impact bait. When that bass bites that bait, he's moving really fast, and you're going to set the hook really hard. So you don't want to overpower that bait. It's kind of like a chatterbait and a spinnerbait. Most tour level guys are throwing glass or a composite. And so on that swim jig, I don't want to do that because I really need that power, but I don't want to overpower those fish. So I'm throwing it on a 7-foot or a 7.3 medium heavy action helium is actually what I'm throwing.
I like those heliums. Those old school LTA heliums. Whew, man, they were freaking good rods.
Those are stout, man. The new heliums, dude. I had a customer the other day throwing a 2021 prototype helium, 7-foot heavy, and he boat flipped to 8.3 on a Vega Frog. No problems.
If I didn't like my dial, or actually if I just didn't have an abundance of rods, and I don't have a rod sponsor, I just use the 6 cents. If Trey Kistler ever reached out to me and said, hey, Baitman, I want you to use my rods, and I have before, I'd probably have to tell him, yeah. I mean, I just like them. But the problem is, no one around here sells them, you know. So
nobody sells them; they don't retail. You got to buy them through people like Baitman.
I mean, I think that's kind of smart, though, and that's for an off-camera conversation. But anyway,
hey, we don't really let Jodon make our drinks around here.
I think you about fell out of the chair. Let's see here. Okay, good question. Straight cash. Is it ever too cold for deep cranking, like sub 45 degrees?
Wait, sub what?
Is it ever too cold for deep cranking? Like if it's below 45 degrees, water temp, will you still deep crank?
If it's 45 degrees surface temperature, I really don't know what the deep water temperature is. My deal is I don't think bass ever stop eating, so I don't think there's ever a moment to stop throwing a deep crankbait. If a bass is set up in an area to bite a deep crankbait, and you run a deep crankbait by him, and he's in the mood to eat a deep crankbait, I just don't know that there's a water temperature that's going to affect him.
I've had a buddy that catches them out on a 10XD in like low 40-degree water, and he said, dude, they hit it almost as hard as they do in the summer.
That's the deal. It's hard for us to relate. We don't get it here. We don't get that here.
Yeah, that's kind of going to be a Midwest, East Coast thing, fishing, where I live. And I'm going to be honest, if water temperature's 40 degrees, my ass is playing Xbox. I ain't going fishing.
If the water temperature is 40 degrees, I'm frogging at a power plant lake.
That's what I'm saying. We're fortunate enough we have these power plant lakes where we can just go find 78-degree water,
But I don't think there's a moment that a bass wouldn't need a crankbait. I mean, it's a bait fish imitation. Now, the reality is you might have to slow it down.
Yeah.
You might not be able to get that bass to – because bass, I think for a long time we've assumed bass sit right here, the crankbait runs, and they just go boom. That's just not a reality. They chase bait down. And I don't see a lethargic bass chasing a bait very much, especially if it's moving at the pace of a crankbait on a normal speed. Now, if you get it down there and you're kind of, obviously in the winter you want to oversize your crankbaits. So where you would normally throw a C15, you might be throwing a C20. That way you can kind of dredge it a little bit slower. But I definitely think a bass is gonna eat a crankbait if the bass is in the mood to eat.
Yeah, I'm with that. Especially out deep. Those fish out deep, to me, where I'm at in the winter, when you find them, they feed a lot more fish. I mean, they school up. Like, you're not going to find, you might find one here and one there, but if you find them out deep here, like on a creek channel turn or a ledge, I mean, you knock their lights out. It's just like summertime fishing. They're just going to fight a lot longer and not jump.
It's the other summer.
But anyway, speaking of crankbaits and stuff, we got to go through the 6 cents box. You know, I don't want to get cut off the team or anything. One thing we got, dude, we got an orange hat. I've been asking for this for like years.
Oh, that's clean.
Yeah, so whether you're a Texas or you're a Tennessee guy, I might be an ex-Tennessee fan. You got a little orange. They make the best hats in the game, that's for sure. Man, y'all taking...
Oh, they make the best apparel in the game, hands down.
I need some gray 6 cent sweatpants. My wife's been asking me to get some gray sweatpants. I don't know why, but anyway, we got some new colors here. We're gonna go ahead and unbox this 6 cent stuff, and we're gonna get you and Jodan's opinion on these new colors. So this is your favorite bait, the Stroker Crawl. This is an OG color for me.
That's great.
Stroker Crawl now available in backwater blues. That's kind of like that old blue sapphire.
I can't see it. Can you see
blue
that?
sapphire? Yeah, I can on here.
So how you feeling about the blue sapphire? Jig trailer or individual?
Jig trailer.
Yeah, black and blue. Talk about wintertime. That's a good combo right there. Black and blue, sapphire blue.
Dirty water. It's a great
Absolutely.
combo.
That's as soon as I saw that on the site, I wanted to order them, and I did. I'm gonna be honest. This is kind of one of those colors that I'm a big fan of right here. This is Mexican spice, so it's like a chartreuse.
I'm a fan of anything with Mexican.
Yeah, that might go good with the Mexican heather jig from Sandtone you like to throw. But that's a new color in the Stroker Crawl. I really like that one. Dirty water. Dude, I catch them on green pumpkin chartreuse here on Kentucky Lake all the time. That'll work right here on TVA.
Good. I'm in.
And then, I'm not sure about this one. This one's different. This is kind of like a bluegill / Alabama crawl. This is Mud Belly Burst. Might have to work on them names. I think me, you, and Jodan could have a hell of a bait naming company.
Oh, I love that. That's like Bama crawl, man.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a Sandtone pinto beans and carrot football jig and stroker that crawl up.
That's that orange and brown,
Yeah.
green.
Yeah.
That kind of does that does a lot. That's kind of a bluegill / Alabama crawl. It's just juicy. It's gonna work. So, guys, if you like the content tonight, make sure you smash the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit the sub button and go follow Ronnie on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. He's got like 25,000 followers on TikTok.
I got 19.3, and I keep up with it because it's a big.
I made a really embarrassing video yesterday, by the way. I was so mad at me.
I commented.
Was it the soft one?
Yeah.
Because I'm about my sauce. Yeah.
Your TikTok game's strong though.
It needs to get better. Walton Doyle says you had me at Mexican. There's something about that little Latina love that everybody likes.
Hey, Tony B's in the house, and Tony B said,
Stay humble.
Stay humble at Shell Canyon. Hey, Tony was there when I met the welder.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, we got some more of that Mexican spice and my favorite stick bait there, the Clout 5.4. That looks really good.
Man, since you're the bait man, did they just overload you with baits?
Pretty much, bud. Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, I said, well, I'm going with Ronnie somewhere in February. And they said, oh, we'll just give you plain stuff so you can share. I said, oh, okay. That's cool.
There you go.
It's kind of like a watermelon red, actually, on the top. I don't know, man. That looks good. It actually looks like a... Have you ever seen a catalpa worm?
Yeah, I hate them. They're scary, but yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Hey, Nirvana's the best color.
You think so?
It's the dude.
It's the most overrated band I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, they're really good. The problem with Nirvana stroker crawls is I go through about 2 packs a day. You got to think about it. I'm fishing like every single day. We need to talk to Casey. I need a better allowance or something. I'm going through so many stroker crawls. It's
Man, mine hold up really good.
They hold up.
They're good.
Sure, they hold up. 3 fish. What if you catch 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the deal. That's what I say. The prawn, we got the prawn. We don't go through. You don't go through near as many of, I think, because obviously too. I don't think a lot of people know the way you hook a prawn or a beaver style bait, whatever you put. But a stroker crawl, when you're getting that many bites, you're fishing grass and you're getting that many bites. I mean, you're just gonna go through, and that's the deal with 6 Senses, especially the Divine swim bait. Like, they last so much longer than a Kitech or a skinny dipper or whatever. The plastic lasts so much longer, but when you're fishing a hot water grass lake, you're just getting so many bites, you're just tearing them up. I mean,
I went through 2 packages of Nirvana stroker crawls today, and I'm out. Like, that was it.
I might have some for you.
Well, I'm gonna call our boys.
I think he'll take care of you. You say, man, I was on the Baitman stream. I need to get.
Hey, you know what? Let's talk about that. 6 Cents, bro. Dude, I know everybody sees this, and I know they think it's plugs, but listen, I'm gonna tell you now. I got a full-time ass job.
Me too.
I ain't no tour guy that's gotta just, plug their baits all day and everything to get paid. I got a full job. I work 250 days a year. But I'm gonna tell you something. Casey is brilliant.
Yes, he is.
Dude, the whole all right, so every time you go to a new job, they want to build a team. Hey, we're gonna team project. We're gonna, we're working on teamwork. Casey's built a team. Like, we're tight because of 6 Cents. Yep. That's a legit business. That company is freaking awesome. Waterland.
I just think in 3 or 4 years, because I always try to look at the big picture. I've seen what Casey's done, obviously from the retail scene. When he very first started, he only had like the 50X, 100X, and the movement.
Yeah.
And the Crush 500. That was it. And I've seen it. I've seen the snowball just keep getting bigger and bigger. And a few years ago, I said, dude, this thing's fixing to. And luckily, we had a good relationship from retail. And when I come to do my own stuff, he was one of the first people who called me and said, hey, man, and I want you to help us. And I know you actually throw our baits and use them. And I said, sure. And he's sending me like new prototypes and stuff like, don't tell none of the pros this and that, but I need your thoughts and input. And just like the soft plastics, man, he calls me and says, hey, I'm fixing to do soft plastics. I need your expert advice. What are the best colors to put out? I don't mean that I want the combination of best sellers because they catch fish and some that may not sell the best, but that certain guys want because they catch. And I think he did a pretty good run of having the right combination of colors and baits that catch fish. I haven't seen anything where I'm just like, The one bait, I think he made a clout for an electric shiner. I normally wouldn't throw that color. I'm kind of like, And that's like one of my favorites. I've caught several fish on that electric shiner.
Divine. It's my favorite color, Divine.
Yeah. Well,
the original slide bait that he made wasn't really my favorite.
Right.
But that new
shaved off, they were.
Yeah, when you got them shaved off, they were good. But that new bait, that new prototype with the clear tail that bro, that thing is ridiculous.
Yeah. So Matt Robertson was over at my house today, and first thing he does, he looks on my bait tab.
On him.
Yeah, definitely on him. Made the Elite Series.
Matt Robertson.
Dude, guy qualifies for Classic, makes the Elite Series, gets home last night. At 9 o'clock this morning, calls me, hey man, you got XYZ bait? I'm gonna go fishing this afternoon. I don't have any. No one around here's got one. I said, yeah man, I got a few of them. He said, all right, you mind if I come over? What am I gonna do? Tell Matt Robertson, hell no, dude, I ain't gonna let you bum no baits. So I said, come on over here.
Dude, he's awesome. I mean, I'm a big fan. I heard him on a podcast, and you feel like when you hear these guys on a podcast, you get to know them. And so for me, I'm broke. I'm a broke down ass fishing guide. So when I hear of guys like Matt Robertson, I love it, dude. I mean, it's just it's passion. It's what we do.
Yeah.
It's, people that know me know that I put fishing here, and I try to put my family equal, but sometimes
I think if we're all being honest, there's times in our life, if we're hardcore fishermen, we've definitely put the fishing a little bit higher.
If your paycheck comes from a bass, there's a good chance that you put
anybody that has the confidence to put on them on a hat is good.
Dude, I was fishing the first tournament here on Kentucky Lake where he wore that, and people are laughing at him at the, like, ha, look at this goober, blah blah blah. He thinks he's somebody. I've liked Matt for a long time. I knew better, and I think we finished like 3rd or 4th, and that dude wrecked everybody. He had like 26 pounds.
Yeah.
No one said shit after that. In fact, he had some of the people that were talking crap walked up to, hey man, can you get one of them hats for me? That's cool, and I'm like, man, that's the part of fishing I don't like, but that's really with anything. But dude, Matt's
if I'm being honest, I looked the hats up myself.
Yeah,
I like the dude, man. I like him. He's cool. He's a fresh flavor.
He's the guy that could come to Choke Canyon and he would just throw a Swimbait all day for a 10.
How about Brian New?
Dude, that guy's a hammer too.
Nobody's looking forward to fishing.
That's bad news for them boys.
Dude, so I've kind of knew about him for the last 3 or 4 years. I've never talked to him, but I've always kind of followed him from the outside. And I'm like, man, this guy's good, like really good. And no one ever talks about him. You didn't hear nothing about Brian New fishing the Opens, and he wins Angler of the Year.
Of course.
All right, let me ask you this. We'll talk a little tournament bass fishing here for a little bit, even though I was trying to open these 6 cents things, but that's okay. We got to go with this new swim bait, but tournament bass fishing. I forgot what I was going to say because I seen those swim baits and my brain buzzed out. But somebody just made a good question. All right, there's Elite's got some new sticks in the Opens. Martin, Matt Robertson, Hackney, Christie, Atkins, Brian New. Tell you who else is a hammer. Justin Atkins is a damn good fisherman too.
Yes, he is.
Man, we saw that firsthand.
We saw that here before. That dude jacking the bedfish right outside my camper.
Yeah.
Me and my wife there watching him whack him. He's good, man. And he runs around with Patrick Walters, who's obviously pretty good.
Yeah, he can catch for you.
Here's the deal, man. That's a new generation of fishermen that we've never seen. These guys have never had jobs. Bro, these guys have never flipped burgers. They never stocked fridges. All they've ever done their whole life is catch bass.
I know. It's crazy.
That's what you're up against now.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that there was 5 guys that left MLF, and 3 of them qualified through the Opens on their first try to come back. I mean, that's pretty solid. I'm just going to say, it's pretty legit.
Yeah. I think Justin Atkins, he's won the Forest Wood Cup. What's he else? I think he won a Major League Fishing event. If not, he got 2nd. I know.
Yeah.
What's he got to prove anymore? Nothing. Hackney, he ain't got nothing to prove. Jason Christie. I just don't think the format fit Jason Christie very well, if you want to know the truth. He's a grinder, man.
Yes. Dude, you don't reinvent the freaking wheel. It's about that many fish. Tell me about you.
Hella Bass says don't sleep on Pat Schlapper. And that's a northern name.
I love Slapper. That's I agree.
But evidently he wins everything up north.
That's what I've heard.
Here you go. Here's a question. Hook Sets of Free says, Ronnie, what are your thoughts on Z-Man craw baits? The turbo craws, the new goat, all that stuff. You throwing the Z-Man stuff? That's a no.
Never.
I'll be honest. Other than the TRD stuff, and maybe a few, whatever the big bang sticks or whatever, I don't throw a lot of Z-Man stuff.
I don't throw. The only thing I throw is Z-Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a shit pile of jackhammers though. There's no doubt that is the goat bladed jig.
Hey, we got a crackhead. We got a crackhead. Listen, I'm gonna tell you about the Chatterbait.
Oh
crackhead.
snap! Let's hear about it.
Are you really gonna say this?
This is the damn Baitman. Why would I not tell about the crackhead?
Yes,
Baitman. You wanna know about the crackhead, Chatterbait crackhead?
Yeah.
All right. So the other day I'm searching Facebook Marketplace because I'm always looking for deals on fishing stuff. And there's a dude that's got jackhammers piled out for sale. So I messaged the dude, and he's like, "Hey, I'll make you a deal on these jackhammers." And he's got like 13 or 14 jackhammers. Then he's got a fishing reel, or 2 fishing reels actually,
They're obviously loose that are off.
They're
the light,
bright orange.
Oh yeah.
You know the ones that come on a combo.
Yeah, that's.
But I don't know what these
Yeah.
are. Okay, I don't know nothing about it. Okay, I'm like, hey, I'm interested. Will you sell the jackhammers alone? And he goes, yeah. So basically, we work out a deal to where I'm buying these jackhammers for $80, and he goes, for $100, I'll throw in one of these reels. And I'm like, man, this dude needs. I mean, I'm in. I got a buddy of mine that'll buy anything you got. It doesn't matter. So I'm like, all right, $100. I'm gonna meet you at Dairy Queen. So me and my wife's my backup because when you're making Facebook deals, you got
Absolutely.
Of course.
Don't go.
Especially somebody that can shoot like your wife. I mean.
Yeah, my wife.
Yeah, you live in Texas too.
Yeah, and we live in Texas. So there's like a lot of guns. So we run up to the north side of town, and we cross the railroad tracks, get up the north side of town, and we go to Dairy Queen. Dude comes out, he's got a mask on, so I can't tell if he's a crackhead or not. Just the dude at Dairy Queen. Brings me a handful of chatterbaits and a reel, and I give him a $100 bill. Everything's great. I think it's a great deal. I sell the reel for $30. I made $10. I paid about $5 or $6 for chatterbaits. So I'm ecstatic. So a couple days go by, and I get another message on Facebook. Hey man, got more chatterbaits. The dude's got 7 jackhammers.
These are all jackhammers, bro.
Brand new. And I'm like, man, that's a great deal. So I said, I'll give you $50 for these jackhammers, $7 a piece. And he goes, all right, can you meet me at Golden Corral? And I'm like, yeah. So I go up. So I'm not really thinking, like, I don't know how crackheads operate. And I don't know a lot about crackheads. And so my buddy starts telling me, hey man, I think this guy's stealing them. And so as I'm going up to meet this guy at Golden Corral, I get there and I go, hey bud, if you decide to sell any more of your chatterbaits, just let me know. And he goes, oh, you want more chatterbaits? And I said, yeah. And he goes, tomorrow. I was like, what? So then the next day comes on and he sends me a message. He's like, hey, I'm up at Cumberland Mall at Academy. I got another
My God.
I got another thing of chatterbaits.
You're like, nah, bud, I'm good.
I'm like, I ghosted the dude.
Figured out where these are coming from.
I ghosted the dude. Yeah, Academy crackhead chatterbait thief.
That might be one of the best stories told on the Baitman Live right there.
Only in East Texas, man. And I don't know what he looks like because he's got the Rona
Big
mask.
John's live said, Ronnie, send him my way.
Hey, I got buddies that are like, hey, send me his information.
Right. Oh, man. We got to talk about this, boys. This is the new Swimbait from 6 Cents. Have you thrown it yet, Ronnie? This is...
Well, I haven't. I've got some.
This is the Whale 4.5. It's a little bit different than Divine. It's more of a real Swimbait. I always call Kitech swimming grubs because they're really like a grub with a paddle tail style. But let's check out this whale.
Well, and that whale is pretty cool. I think the smaller one you can use on a swim jig.
Oh yeah. So this is definitely softer than the Divine. It's got a lot thicker body. Of course, I got white, and it's a shitty color on live streams. As you can see, it's got a nice thick paddle tail, thicker body. But
your white hands ain't helping.
I know, bud. I know. I can't help it.
I mean, we see it. It looks great, dude.
No,
it's got these little.
Hold it up to your hat, right?
So what are those? So you're not Phillip Jones, Kevin, but what are those side fins doing for it?
No, I'm not Philip. I don't know how to use a computer program, but I can tell you how he can make some good shit. Maybe if Philip would listen to me, we'd have a game changer. Just kidding, Philip. Love you, buddy. But these fins here actually kind of help kill the bait and keep it straight. I can tell you the way this thing is designed, just by holding it in my hand, you're going to get some head movement here on a belly hook and get some nice tail kick. It's very similar. I talked to Ben Milliken about it. Milliken was a big fan of the Babe. He said, think of the Babe, but a little bit smaller. Yeah. You're kind of going to get that action from it. So I'm thinking, you're going to see a 6.5 inch of this right here before it's over with.
That's a bait right there that I wouldn't be afraid to stick a straw down its nose and put a treble hook in.
Oh, absolutely not, dude. Right now, like fishing the Cumberland, Tennessee River, I could see putting a little like number 4 treble back there, stick the straw down there, and just swim it in the current. I like this. I'm going to be honest. I like the Divine swim bait, but the way I fish, I like stuff like this right here. So I only got 2 colors. They're
I
both
like-
white, but there's also, I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you? Way back here. It's got the hook slot here for your owner beast hook or your 6-cent swim bait hook, whatever you want to throw. I don't care, but y'all know how to rig it.
That hook slot's a big deal, man.
Yes.
Getting a ton of comments about a mag draft.
It does kind of look like a baby mag draft. I'll be honest, this is a hot take. I do not like the mag draft freestyle. I can't catch jack on it. I've talked to some people. They're like, man, it's not like the, mag draft that's got the harness. Matter of fact, when Mr. Robertson was here, we had a whole conversation about the mag draft. And I think
Really, what do you got?
it's about the same thing I do. He said, man, couldn't ever get no bites on the 6-inch. And he said, he figured some stuff out, and he said he's going to take me pretty soon. We may go fishing tomorrow and show me some stuff on it, but he said, man, it was. He said, I really thought for a long time people were just trying to sell baits, making that shit up. Dude's a swim bait guru though. So if he said he figures something out,
On the mag draft is what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Dave R says it looks like a spark shad. I would say that's probably the closest thing is a megabass spark shad. It's got a lot more roundness to it. Spark shad's a little more squared off. That's a good call on that.
Yeah, it does. It's a good bait. It's something 6-cents. They need to have it in their lineup.
I tell you what's nasty is that little 3-inch or 4-inch spark shad, and you put the little screw head on it. That stuff does work. But I've just never been I've caught a few fish on the mag draft, but it's never been like it's not like, man, I'm going to throw a Bass Tricks or I'm going to throw an Osprey or Scottsboro tackle. I'll throw those all over a mag draft.
The only time I ever thought about throwing a mag draft was when we were at Travis.
Yeah.
And that water was so clear, and we
Yeah.
couldn't catch them on anything except a drop shot or
Net rig.
And what's bad is we're catching them on an Alabama rig in practice and couldn't catch them, and we were like that. But that clear water just.
I think
That's gonna be.
I think the clearer the water, the better that mag draft style is.
For sure.
And
And they'll eat it at Fork. Zaldane comes down there and smashes them on that 8-inch. And I throw the 8-inch, man. Dude, it's hard when you're guiding. You don't want to sit there and hand the customer an 8-inch swim bait and go, hey, man, good luck.
Yeah. They're like, what the hell? So.
Yeah, hey, man, here, hopefully you catch one.
Yeah, we're going to go down this bank, fish this real special spot. Here's a tennis shoe to cast out there.
It's like an Alabama rig. Can you imagine being in a boat with 3 people throwing an Alabama
I've been
rig?
in one.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
I was one of the guys throwing it, and I put it down and tied something else on.
I'm gonna tell you something else
We
though.
did it with other guys around us on wells.
Yeah, I'll do it with real good fishermen, but I'm gonna tell you what's more dangerous than anything is punching
Yes.
as a fishing guide. Because you get a dude that drops that weight down, and he thinks that weight's punched through the grass, and it's only gone about an inch under.
Whew.
And then all of a sudden he lifts up, and thinks he's got one, and he ain't got one. And next thing you got a tumor in your left side of your temple.
Air clustering.
Yeah, that's right. That's why you gotta keep them sunglasses on at all times. I tell people that a lot of fishermen wear sunglasses, and they don't care if it's sunny out there. It's especially guides. You gotta protect your eyes.
I wear a helmet, actually, a football helmet, Tennessee ball helmet.
No, Kelly Jordan nicknamed me the Helmet Boy from an experience at Lake Fort. So, if you're watching the old classic pattern show, he's fishing by the bridge and just jacking them.
Yeah.
There's these 2 Lunkers TV like shitheads under this bridge. And every time Kelly would catch one, they'd start, yeah, boy, we're going to be on TV now. And just kept going. And it got to where like it was bothering the other cameraman, like he's getting pissed. And so Kelly catches a great big one. It was probably like 9 or something. It come up and threw the swim bait at the boat. He's all pissed. And that guy said something smart ass. And Kelly was like, I tell you what, y'all keep talking that. I'm going to come over there and I'm going to slap a helmet on y'all. And I just died laughing. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've been drinking beer in the second camera boat. So I'm just sitting on the back, and I about fell off. And from then on, he just called me Helmet Boy. So he wins the Toyota Texas tournament, and I'm in this Masters like Skybox, coolest bass tournament I've ever been to.
Yes.
So he wins that thing.
I was his marshal. I was his marshal on day 3.
Yeah, I called it the Kelly Jordan Invitational because it's pretty much what it was. But so I'm in the Skybox. I've never met his mom in my life, and Kev's like, "Hey, Mom, this is my friend Kevin who works for Mike Otten. He helped put this tournament on with this." But his real name's Helmet Boy. And she's like, "What, Kelly?" He's like, "Yeah, this is Helmet Boy." And she's just looking at him like, "What in the world are you talking about?" Now I'm just freaking embarrassed at this point. Like, Kelly Jordan's mom knows me as a sped. So, anyway, no offense. That's just funny. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody but myself. So, all right, here we go. Let's roll back some more questions here. Picasso Shot Blade Pro. Someone said that's the real deal. You ever thrown that one? No. All right. You guys use spy baits at all when it gets cold?
I've caught a handful of fish on a spy bait. It's not. Listen, I can't. It's hard. It's so slow.
I think that's.
Now, let me say this. With Livescope,
maybe. It just doesn't get that tough here.
Right.
Well, but I'll go throw stuff just to say I threw it.
Do you think it's because it doesn't get that tough, or if the water doesn't get that clear? Like Travis, it probably does. You may have a few other lakes that it gets really clear on.
Well, so here's my deal. When we talk about water clarity, we talk about tracking baits, right? So let's take Matt Robertson. So he's a fish bait guy, a swim bait guy. So he understands tracking. He understands how bass track baits. What he doesn't understand, and he probably does now, but he doesn't understand to what degree are bass tracking baits. Now with Livescope, we're seeing some stuff, and so in the clearer East Texas water, which isn't clear to a lot of people, these bass, a jerkbait, I mean, they'll come out of 14 foot of water after a jerkbait. I can see that on Livescope. So, I think clarity makes a big difference, but I think the reality is if the fish are anywhere in the vicinity and there's somewhat clarity, I think a spy bait can be good. However, it's just slow. I mean, it's painfully slow.
Yeah, Menendez told me, my boy Mark, going to plug his show. I got one to upload tomorrow with Baitman Jr. I want everybody to go watch that and give Baitman Jr. a shout. But he told me he's found out in the last 2 months, it's one of the best cold weather pond baits ever. He said, dude, I was throwing this spy bait in 3 or 4 different ponds and like slow rolling it, and those bass just eat it like nothing. He said they hit it like, and they hit a jig just thump. And it has to be something about the way it's falling, that shivering. And, we're not talking giant half lake ponds. I'm just talking 1, 2, 3 acre farm ponds that he goes and fishes by his house. It's kill time. He said it's amazing in a pond.
Hey, Joe Reynolds says, Jeremy Conkright. Man, I almost read that wrong. Conkright said, Ronnie, you got any 316 workhorse glides? I do not. But I will say that I've heard from Lee Livesey and some of these other guys, they wreck them on that glide. It could be one of the very best glides on the market. And I'm sure your boy Onum's got one.
He does.
I think he's got them all. I think he's got every glide bait there is. And they got stolen then, but they got replaced.
I cannot believe out of all the things going on, and they supposedly have the guy's vehicle, they never found his stuff. It's kind of bullshit, if you ask me.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
That crackhead I know might have sold them all.
You might have bought Matt's jackhammers, dude. Seriously.
Maybe so.
Somebody asked me what my favorite jackhammer was. Brett Hot and Delight.
Really?
Yeah. That Beehive Delight is down here where we're at. That's just straight catch.
You know what's an underrated one here? Black and blue green pumpkin. Don't ask why.
Oh, yeah.
It catches them. I just use the Zacho on the back. I don't really like paddle tails on the back of mine, but Zaco.
So you use the Zaco, the Yamamoto.
That or I use the Hog Farmer Spunk Shad. That's the deal.
That Zaco is my Chatterbait trade. I just feel like the guy that's the best in the world, and in my opinion, with a Chatterbait uses that, and it's good enough for
Yeah,
me,
that's
and it
kind of
works.
how I feel about things. Like, I don't want to get into it, but I seen a guy on Facebook saying rods are terrible for chatterbaits, and someone said, "Dude, Brett Hytes won like $2 million using his glass rod." And he said, "Yeah, well, if I seen him in person, I'd tell him he's wrong." And I'm like, "Well, if I was Brett Hyte, I'd probably knock your ass out if you said that, you know."
Yeah, me too.
Well, as far as the trailer goes, I just personally I don't know that it makes that big of a difference. I see these bass tracking it on the Livescope, and they're either going to commit or they're not.
I agree with that to an extent.
You know, I think when you get into certain, I think when it matters, they'll tell you. You know, your buddy's throwing a Seiko and you're throwing a Z crawl or whatever, and they kind of tell you. But I kind of throw a paddle tail. I throw a Divine, the 3.8 on there. I catch them. I don't. I'm a guide, dude. It's so different when you're guiding, man. It's not. You're never pulling up to catch a fish. You know, I heard I was listening to Patrick Walters talk about how he keeps a ton of rods on his deck because he might want to pull up and throw something for 3 minutes. And I do the same thing. The problem is in the guide business, it's hard to just go run up and throw a jerkbait on a point and make 2 casts because you got to have 3 jerkbaits out. They all got to, and if you catch one, Lord forbid you catch one and your jerkbait's a different color than your customers. Now you got to change their jerkbait.
So a comment on here, CA. What about the LF Magic Shad? The LF Magic Shad, we call that in East Texas. That's the Chatterbait trailer. I mean, that is what it is. That's what you put on the back of a Chatterbait. But
that's, you can say what you want. That the Zaco is basically Yamamoto's swing at the Magic Shad.
Yeah. That's exactly.
That Magic Shad's a good swim bait by itself if you know where to fish it and when. That's how I knew it before it was a Chatterbait trailer. I threw it on a belly hook.
When a Chatterbait first came out, that's the only trailer anybody threw.
Let's see here. Someone was talking about the OSP Do Live Stick. I got some of those. They're kind of like single tail. So I want to agree with Ronnie, though. He said something about if a fish is going to commit, he's going to commit. And we can all talk about the aerodynamics of a crankbait, and if you cut the end of your Chatterbait trailer, paddle tail off, and the way that, dude, at the end of the day, people catch some big ass bass on chicken McNuggets. So whatever you got that's really comfortable for you, whether I agree or tactical bassing agrees or whatever, find something that catches fish and master it. You know what I mean?
You look at a tournament with 200 boats. You take the top 5 guys. They're all within a pound or 2 of each other. And they're probably all throwing something different colors, and they're all catching them. And here's the deal. I've got a unique job. I'm not a professional angler. I'm not fishing for myself. There's 3 people in my boat. At minimum 2, but usually 3. And there's a good chance we're all 3 throwing something different. And I can tell you a lot of times it comes down to skill, and a lot of times it just comes down to confidence.
Yes.
But very, very seldom does it come down to a particular style or color. Very seldom.
Correct. A lot of it's,
but when it does,
to me, it's retrieve more than anything.
It could be, there's a minute, but when it does, when the bass are keyed in us, they're going to tell you. You ain't got to search for it. They're going to be, you're going to know. You got 3 people in the boat, and this dude's throwing a green pumpkin with gold Cinco, and he's caught 30, and these other 2 dudes ain't caught none. This is pretty obvious.
Dave R. wants to know, Ronnie, you're saying it really doesn't matter which trailer on the Chatterbait?
I don't think that it matters that much. As far as, now, obviously, water clarity and that sort of deals. You don't want to go in and throw in a packer crawl horizontal in the clearest water in the lake. You want a little bit tighter, profile.
A lot of times we're reeling it so fast that.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think that it matters that much, man. I think, bass key in on something and do they follow it? In fact, with Livescope, when I make a cast with a Chatterbait, as soon as I make that cast and I start retrieving, I turn that scope straight at it to see if I got followers. Because if I've got followers and they're not committing, then it's my job to try to make them to commit. And I've noticed when I'm around grass, a lot of times I have followers that don't commit. And most of the time, it's not the trailer, it's the retrieve, like you said. Most of the time, it's snagging it out of grass or reeling it, killing it, and hopping it.
I think when you getting some clear water grass lakes up north and stuff like that, that's when I really feel like the trailer makes a bit of difference, especially if there's any smallmouth around.
For sure, it would
woo,
make a difference.
I don't want to get on. We'll have to do this a full-blown chatter chicken show or something.
Dude, Phillip Jones, is that the Phillip?
Yeah,
Jones?
that is the Phillip Jones. He's supposed to be working on a little Crush 55 little flat side, but
I heard about this on your last one where you were talking about creating that.
Yes, we need to get that done, Phillip. We need some throwback colors to like the OG hand makers, like the.
Hey, Jeremy Conkright. My phone number is 903. Actually, I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna do this right here.
I can put it in the description. You know, if you put it on YouTube or whatnot, you're gonna get some. You're gonna get a lot of auto warranties. Just send him a DM on Instagram, Conkright, or Facebook. Slide in them DMs.
I just threw it out there.
He threw it out there.
I just put it out there. This is how you beat fat
do you
girls.
want? Ronnie also is also starting up at OnlyFans. Be pretty soon. I want to start at OnlyFans as well.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna be your only fan.
Actually, I think. Yeah. Dude, people pay money for some dumb stuff. I guarantee. I could probably go to the local strip joint and be like, "Hey,
Caleb Morgan,
hold these crankbaits like this, and I'm going to post it for $10 a month." You know, so
all of them.
Caleb said, "What lakes do you got on all of them? Anything in East Texas?"
He may be guiding at Lake X down here. I don't know. I got to put him and Joe Dunn on my Lake X. Well, it's not mine, but all right.
I'll leave in the morning.
I got to answer a few questions here. Phillip likes chicken McNuggets. What is the best overall size for a swim bait for general use? I think 6 inches is pretty standard.
I think a 4.5
really?
inches is probably. Oh, for
well,
sure.
I'm used to 6 inches.
So here's the deal. Well, your 6 inches and my 4.5 inches might be the same.
That's true.
That's true.
Different parts of the Mississippi River.
So here's my deal. I know that I can catch a 12-pound bass on a 4.5-inch swim bait. I'm positive of it. But I also know that I can catch a lot of bass on a 4.5-inch swim bait. And so people sleep on these smaller swim baits, and there's no reason to sleep on a smaller swim bait. The reality is, when you up your size, all you're doing is downing your numbers. Sure, you're going to get big bites. But if you're around big fish and you're throwing a small swim bait, you're going to get big bites regardless. I think we overcommit, and we have this mentality. Here's my deal. How many tournaments have been won on glide baits? One? Carl Jacobson at Gunnersville?
No.
Or did he even win?
Carl Jacobson was throwing a jig.
Well, he was throwing a glide a lot there, right? Because he was on live. He was on live, dog. I was watching him.
You're thinking of Byron. You're thinking of Byron Velvet.
That's what I was gonna say.
No.
At Gunnersville, when he was fishing all the riprap at Gunnersville with the Arashi.
No, that was a jig, bud. You're thinking of Palaniuk.
I'm talking about when Carl Jacobson was fishing that glide bait before it released.
I don't remember that. This year or last year?
Not only
so Hellabass said Carl Jacobson has one big day on Gunnersville and then missed the cut on that glide bait.
All right, maybe I'm thinking of the classic where he was fishing that jig on a riprap, and then the year Skeet won, Skeet was throwing the 7-inch bass tricks, and Velvet was throwing a bass tricks and Osprey, and he was throwing the Livingston glide and catching them. And
Phillip, yes, I did. That's lit, dude. You did a great job. In fact, Phillip, on that bait, I actually put it on an 8.5-1, and I burn it as fast as I can throw it, and it doesn't do anything. It just runs perfectly straight. So you nailed it on that one.
Yeah, dude, it's really good. People are going to
It's
be
really good.
very impressed with this bait. So,
And people
let's see. I'm going through comments. Chuck Cable, thanks. Just ordered a few of the Baitman Specials. Great Christmas presents. I agree. Again, guys, I'm going to give a couple away. So make sure after the video uploads, you comment whatever you want to. And I'll pick a random YouTube comment for the winner. So, Co-Angler on Bass Open just won today on a glide bait.
nice.
The Co-Angler. Nice. That
must be on Cumberland, not on an Open, because there was no Bass Open today.
You think it was the
No, there was a Bass Open, wasn't there?
The what?
No.
Yeah, the
It was
Open.
on-
No, the Open was on lay, and then there was a FLW. What was it? The BF? Not the championship. What was the championship? The FLW.
Hellabass correct. He's right. He said it was the Costa Toyota Series Championship. Not the Open.
yeah.
Opens don't have co-anglers.
No.
Baitman TV, have you invited Philip Jones on your show? I have invited Philip. I think I have. The mic is always open. I've invited everybody on here. Sometimes a lot of people you think that want to join, they ghost your ass. It's kind of weird.
Wow. Oh.
I'm not going to name names yet, but
Don't start name dropping.
no. I think a lot of people are just busy.
Of course.
What's your go-to glide since we're talking about glides? That's from Coco to Beast. That's a great username too.
It is a good name.
Mine is a little bait called the Shizzard. It's pretty nasty.
The shit.
The Shizzard. It's coming. It's coming to Texas, by the way.
So Evergreen makes that body that the flow
Yeah,
glide.
absolutely.
Flow glide. So that's my favorite. That's the one I catch them on. I've caught a lot of fish on it. Caught a lot of big fish on it.
That brim slide is good.
But before glides, I think that BBZ one
Ooh.
was
Oh.
on Fork there was a lot of
Dude,
fish
that's
caught on Fork
that's a
on-
little
on-
sleeper right there.
Hey,
I mean,
some
like,
40-pound bags on fork on that Spro BBZ1. When these other boys were still trying to figure out what the hell a bass tricks was.
Dude, first two swim baits I ever bought, 316 Mission Fish. This was on Tackle Warehouse before it was cool to order off Tackle Warehouse. Like, when you Google bass fishing tackle, like Land Big Fish and Bass Tackle Depot popped up. I got on there one day and I'm looking. What'd you say?
What do you know about Jan's Net
Oh, I know
Craft?
plenty about Jan's. That used to be the
Bro,
place to
back
order
in the
stuff.
cat.
That's like,
That was the only place you could get Bite Me
Yeah.
Shaky Heads before the Shaky Heads were Shaky Heads.
yes. That was like in the early days of Bass Fishing homepage. I was like 12 years old posting on there with Alex Davis, the spinnerbait kid. I actually had a dream the other night. I brought back the Bass Fishing homepage, and it was like a real web forum where you could. I need to go see if that .com's taken. If not, maybe I should do that.
Talking about big swim baits in the early days of Lake Fork. So I was fortunate enough. Me and Ronnie were at Lake Fork early in the morning, and it was a cold day, and there was a guy in there that Brian Duplashane that a lot of people might know, and that was back in the day, the AC plug.
Oh, I remember the AC plug.
And Brian was like the first guy on Lake Fork to get one of them in his hand. And
Caught a 15 or something.
Dude,
like a 15-pounder on it.
He told stories of like fish the size of this table, like following it up, and that guy doesn't make up things, so that was an interesting conversation, just seeing the early days of the big swim baits.
Dude, people love swim baits. If you just mention them, the chat blows up. You get, dude, what about this glide or this swim bait or this paddle tail? There's something very intriguing about that. I think one's the bite and the amount of effort, especially in the bigger baits, the glides and stuff, the hard baits, the amount of effort you put in to get that one big bite. And I'm going to be honest, man, you'll catch freaking dinks on big swim baits. It happens. Not at the rate you're going to catch them on a 4-inch swim bait, but
right.
You're all right though. You're eliminating a lot of fish when you throw a 6 to 8-inch swim bait.
A lot of fish. When somebody asked, somebody said a couple West Coast tournaments, but it's not net region. It's It's not a bait. They get now. Pollock does it. And somebody asked what we thought about the.
Hey,
I've got one
boss, I got to pee real quick. You and Jodon, hold it down.
We got.
Somebody also asked about the S waiver. I think, and they said for the price, the S waiver I think is the best. I agree with you. In my opinion, for the price, the S waiver is hard to beat. That 168 is like the perfect size.
Sure. Yeah, and I think the S waiver is good. The Arashi glide's really good. I've thrown it. I haven't caught many fish on it. I have thrown it. It glides really well. I'm a big fan of adding a swivel and a snap to mine just to give it more action and to prevent line twist in the cast because the thing likes to spiral a lot in the cast. But, man, the flow glider's just kind of been my go-to as far as glide baits. Here's the problem for me is I live in East Texas. And the reality is we don't have the clarity for bass to really have to key in and track that bait and make a huge decision. And then when you get into the 6 cent stuff, the paint jobs are just spectacular. I mean, they're second to none. But when you get into Hinkle, Shad, and all that real high-end stuff, that's just not really my game. I'm not a go out and throw it all day to catch one bass type of guy. I like to set the hook. I freaking love to set the hook. So I'll catch, I would rather go out and catch 5 4-pounders than 1 10-pounder. I think.
And that's what a lot of guys around here saying, take the S waiver and shave down the joints, and 100% agree. That's what you need to do. It's just that I just don't. That's not really our thing. You know what I mean? Like just spending that much time just throwing one of those baits is just not.
DFW fishing. I like the Divine Swim Jig. I like it a lot. It's a good swim jig. I like the fact that it's got that screw lock keeper on it. I think that's a big deal, especially when you're skipping. Skipping a swim jig's a real big tactic around East Texas. We got a lot of flooded bushes, flooded trees, so we skip those swim jigs a lot. And having that screw lock is kind of key. I throw a Sandtone Rayburn swim jig a lot. It's a great swim jig. If I'm skipping, I'm usually going to switch over to the Divine Swim Jig, though, because of that screw lock.
So the first jig I ever knew with the screw lock is a Texas jig. This one right here. See if you know what I'm talking about here. Is that package?
Is that Oldham?
That is a Terry Oldham's.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the best flipping jig. It's still a top 3 flipping jig to me.
That's where I learned to punch grass with the Oldham jig. Yep.
Oldham's jig, and then the Terry Oldham spinnerbait with the screw lock. Dude, that's killer right there.
Caught a lot of fish on Lake Falcon
Putting a Swimbait on the back of it. Mm-hmm.
Caught a lot of fish on Falcon Lake.
Can you still get them like around Fork? Does anybody sell Oldham spinnerbaits?
Sure. You go down to Falcon, you can get all you want. There's a lot of Terry Oldham jigs at Falcon Lake.
Is there a place around Choke that might sell them? Dude, that's the last 2 I've got. I cannot get them anywhere.
I mean, Falcon's probably an hour and 15 minutes from Choke.
It's exactly 2.5 hours.
Oh, he knows exactly.
I know it well.
Yeah.
What's up?
Hey, Mike can go visit my boy Byron. He's been selling all his tackle. I might can find some good stuff down there.
Byron,
yeah.
He's over at Amistad.
He's at Amistad. That's long.
I don't want to go over there anyway. It's been tainted by the Googans.
That's like going from Kentucky to like Kansas. That's a long ways. I mean,
really?
That's a long drive.
Dude, I went on an elk hunt to what's that state? New Mexico, and I drove across Texas in one day, 24 hours.
It's a long.
Never again. Never.
Yeah,
I got paid good. I got paid $500 a day as a cameraman. Even when I drove home, I got paid my drive time. But anyway, here's a good question, Ronnie. Does the bait forge lead your decision on which swim baits to use?
Absolutely. So my deal is anytime around the spring, up shallow, I'm probably going to have a little bit more of an emphasis on a bluegill color. However, later in the spring, when the shads start to do their thing, gizzard shad and threadfin, man, they're real similar. One's basically bigger than the other. I don't think bass really care.
Just whatever's available.
So I'm getting in that sexy shad type color, something like that. And when I say sexy shad, I just mean a natural shad type color. But for sure it does. If I'm in a lake and it's got blueback herring or something, I want to match.
The hatch.
I want to match the hatch. I think that's key. You definitely either A, you want to match the hatch, or B, you want to throw something the fish are just going to react to. There ain't nothing running around in that water at 31 inches per handle turn that's bright red, but we whack them on a.
That's what I always tell
rattle
people.
trap.
Have you ever seen a chartreuse powder blue bait fish? I have not, but that's the number one crankbait color in the world. For me,
Yeah,
I've
100%.
at least out deep, you don't see bright reds or chartreuse and purple or jank juice or all this stuff.
There's no bright red in the lake. I mean, crawfish move at the speed of smell, and we're throwing rattle traps,
Right.
ripping them.
So Zane Rollins, here's a good question. Says, are glides mostly visual bass and stained water won't commit off fill? So there's a reason a lot of guys don't throw glide baits in dirty water. There's nothing. I mean, it doesn't put out crazy vibration. There's maybe a little clicking sound. A jerkbait and a glide bait are pretty much the only two baits that bass are visually seeing that they'll actually go chase. I think a bass chases a crankbait or chatterbait to an extent of like it comes by them and they go chase it down and eat it, but they're not like visually staring at it for like 15, 20, 30 feet and then just run up and go eat it. Like it burns by them and they react and go eat. And that's why I think you said you see a lot of followers on a chatterbait on Garmin.
So you got your jerkbait right here, and your bass. My fingers are the bass, and let's say we're in 15 foot of water, and these bass are right here, and I'm throwing a Provoke 106, and I'm twitching it in 2 foot of water. I really don't think water clarity is not a big deal to me, dude.
Really?
Livescope's.
I freaking whacked their ass on the jerkbait in the muddiest water in East Texas.
Livescope's changed the opinion
Really?
on that a lot.
I think we're probably. You think we're going to get into some MythBuster
dude.
stuff? I want to bust some myths when we're out there.
Hey, dude. The other day I'm sitting in a spot where the fish are sitting. I'm sitting at about 20. The fish are on bottom like this. This is the bottom of the lake. These are the fish. They're in 12 foot of water. My customer makes a cast. The very second that his Carolina rig breaks the surface of the water, those fish go.
Really?
Stained water. 2-3 inch visibility.
Man, we got all kinds of.
Saw it. I watched them. It happened right in front of my eyes. And I whack them. Listen, dude. I have 80 fish days at Lake Palestine in chocolate milk on a jerkbait.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Fire Tiger Rogue.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say somebody just asked in the comments how Palestine's doing, and it depends. We were just smashing them, and then we got a lot of rain and a lot of runoff. But the weird thing is like we were just talking about that jerkbait. Like me and Ronnie have went as far north as you can go on this lake, and thrown a rogue, and you can literally. And before we just thought we were just had it figured out. And with Livescope though, you can literally see a jerkbait pull fish, and in dirty, muddy water, and I don't know how it works. I haven't figured it out yet because there's no, like you said, there's no rattle, there's no noise. It's just straight visual, and they just come out of nowhere. And
do you think, Ronnie, as bass fishermen, we overestimate how smart a fish is? Because in the end of the day, their brains are like that big.
So
it's either eat or be eaten for them.
I don't necessarily know that we overthink how smart they are. We definitely overcomplicate it. And listen, as a fishing guide, I have to manage the overcomplication. For instance, today I'm fishing, and this didn't come up today, but this is a good for instance. We're punching grass, and I've got a Texas rig with a 1 ounce weight and a stroker crawl, and I've got a 1 1/4 ounce jig with a prawn. Well, if I catch 2 or 3 on that stroker crawl, and my customer hasn't caught one on that jig, he's going to assume he needs to be throwing that stroker crawl, right? Which you would too, and so would you more than likely. Well, the reality is, if you hand me that jig, there's a good chance I'm fixing to go to whacking them on that jig just as well. Because right here, I'm not worried about that jig as much as I am focused on just catching a fish with my mechanics. And so I think bass are going to eat. And I fish not every day, but almost every day. I mean, literally, I fish almost every day. And so I have the opportunity, and it's unique. It's not, there's not many people that have the ability to fish every day. And so you get to see things. I get to see lakes go from hero to zero overnight with zero condition change. Nothing happens. There's no reason that Wednesday was better than Thursday. And then I see stuff where something changes. The wind shifts. One cloud comes over. Clouds go away, and then fishing explodes. The reality is most of this stuff that we talk about, that we've been taught, I just don't buy into it. Dude, we don't know shit, man. Fish are weird. Yeah. I mean, they're
basically women with fins.
Yes. Dude, I can pull a school of 20 bass for 50 feet with a jerkbait, and none of them ever bite it in the absolute perfect jerkbait conditions. And then the next cast, I might throw over there and jerk it 3 times, and there's 2 of them on it. I don't know.
Since we're talking about jerking it, which we had a good question here. Dave R. at the Baitman TV, I like to always do this demonstration. He says, I have never fished a Provoke 106. What are the differences between a Provoke 106 and a Vision 110? Well, here's the deal. I made a new word up, by the way. Got my jerking box. I was actually putting this together. I've upgraded to a deep Bass Mafia because I got so many jerk baits. But I'm going to get, this is a Vision 110. And then here's a Provoke. This is actually one of my favorite colors. That's not Jink Juice. I have smashed on this. I know Milliken loves this color. By the way, Ben Milliken is a really good jerkbait fisherman.
Yeah, he's a really good fisherman.
One of the best I've ever done.
I know people don't think YouTubers can compete with pros, but I've never fished with Ben. It's never lined up. We've wanted to, and I'm hoping we do this spring. But just from being around him at ICAST and talking to him, dude's legit. And knowing as a tournament background, but I always get this question. They say, well, what's the difference between this Mega Bass and the Provoke? So I'm going to hold them both up here without hooking myself. Number one, the Provoke is a little bit fatter. It's taller. You see, it goes up to the shoulders more. Then we turn it this way, and you can see a huge difference, I think. The bill is a little bit different angle. It's a little bit wider. It's got more cup in it, but it's fatter. It's even thicker than the Mega Bass. And believe it or not, it's a little bit shorter. It's balanced out a little bit different too. But here's the deal. I love a Mega Bass Vision 110. There's no doubt about it. It is the best cold, and when I mean cold, 55 degrees and below jerkbait I think you can buy. Provoke is only like $9 or $9.99 or $10.99. Hell, it may be $8.99 for the money. If you're just getting into jerkbaits and you want a high-end performing jerkbait and don't want to shell out $25, buy a Provoke. I've not had any issues.
It's all I throw, and I whack them.
Dude,
I mean,
I'm not a good jerkbait fisherman, and before I went out to Lake X and jacked them up on my one YouTube video I threw it on Kentucky Lake. In the third cast, I caught like a 5-pounder. I said, all right, if I can catch them on this, it's got to be good. Because I'm not a great jerkbait fisherman. And what it did is I caught so many on that thing on Lake X, I got a lot of confidence in the jerkbait. And I threw it a lot on Kentucky Lake and caught a lot of fish. But the Mega Bass is really good. And, dude, I buy a lot of them. Because I think in that super cold water, it's really good. And also, I think in cold water, a Rogue is really hard to beat. That Rogue has a lot more roll to it than a Mega Bass twitches and darts. The Provoke's got a little bit of roll and darts good. The Rogue's a real heavy roller. It kind of does this kind of motion. And, man, in cold water, it's just hard to beat a Rogue. But I'm a nobody, so.
I think a lot of people take the jerkbait and they don't have a lot of confidence in it. And I think you showed me something that a lot of people don't know is that if you can fish a frog, where's the visual thing when you can see a frog and you work a frog? If you can just imagine fishing a jerkbait and fishing it underwater, and you're thinking about working a frog, I think it'll help more people than you can
Oh, for
think
sure.
than you can think of in the world.
Yeah.
Is if you think about how you work a frog on top of the water, and you tie a jerkbait on, and you throw that under the water, and you twitch it, and you let it pause and work it, that I think it will help a lot more people than even know
Yeah, no, that's a
on
good point.
catching a jerkbait.
What's up, Cameron Lewis? Mr. Gambit says, here's a question for you, Captain Ronnie. How many Rapala DT7 hot mustards you carry on a guide trip?
DT7 0.
That's the flat one. I got plenty of them.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've got some. I don't think I've got any in hot mustard.
DT6 is a good guide bait. I know that.
What
The
is
DT6 here on Kentucky Lake, dude. That's all they.
Yeah.
The
DT6, DT10, and DT16 should pretty much be in every bass fisherman's boat.
Right. I mean, they're not the most durable, but if you want a balsa bait for $6, that's what you buy. And they work, man.
They work, and I'm telling you, they're a fish catching.
Yeah, I love all the 6 cent stuff, but I tell you guys straight up, man, there's a lot of really good baits out there, and I try to be really versatile. Cause man, let's be honest, Ronnie, whether you're guiding or not, there's gonna be days where they ain't gonna eat a stroke or crawl,
Bro, listen, if I sat here and tried to tell everybody all I thought was 6 cents, they're not gonna believe it.
Nah.
I mean, there's just no point in lying.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm just in it for the hats and the hoodies.
Yeah. I love 6 cent stuff, man. Look, I love it. I love a lot of their baits. But I love a DT10. I think everybody does. I love a skinny dipper. Kind of think everybody does.
Yeah, skinny dippers. Everyone talks about swim baits. That's a swim bait really flies on the radar because so many guys have adapted it as a trailer when it was really designed to be a grass fishing swim bait.
It's a horny toad swim bait.
Something else that Kevin talked about that we throw a lot is that pocket rocket.
Oh yeah, pocket rocket's a good one.
I've won a lot of money on the pocket rocket.
Yeah, it's a lot different than my wife's, but it's a really good bait.
It is.
I'm just kidding, hon. If you're watching this, that was a joke.
She's not.
I got to give her a shout out. She made some awesome cookies tonight. She got a new recipe from the Snoop Dogg cookbook.
What?
Yeah, she's got a Snoop Dogg cookbook. She made some banging chocolate chip cookies.
That's why your eyes are slanted like this.
No, that's just because I work midnights. I'm always tired.
She needs to shoot that.
Here's a good question. Hey, I'll bring some on trip. Ronnie, how do you determine square bill size and color?
Well, so there's two colors. There's shad and there's chartreuse.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of don't really worry too much more than that. I throw whatever shad color I look at and I like, and then I throw whatever chartreuse I got. As far as depth, you kind of got to go by, or as far as size, you go by depth pretty much. If you're not banging, you're not bassing. That crankbait's got to be kind of hitting something. The one exception would be if I'm fishing some type of suspended cover like floating boat houses or something like that, and I'm just trying to target fish that are in that. Otherwise, it's more of a depth deal. Now, with that being said, I'm probably not going to be throwing a shad-colored 50 in extremely shallow or dirty shallow water. I might go up to, like a chartreuse blue or chartreuse blackback or something like that. That all being said, I'm usually going to have at least, if I'm doing a square bill and I'm going through a creek channel and there's timber, I'm going to have two rods. I'm going to have a 7-foot medium Kistler rod, and one of them's going to have a chartreuse blackback or blueback square bill, and the other one's going to have a shad colored square bill. And I'm going to I rotate baits a lot. Right. I might fire, throw that rod down, fire. And you got to understand with me, I am going, my mechanics, because I'm going 1,000 miles an hour, and I fish with people every day. So I watch how people fish. I fish 1,000% different than everybody gets in my boat. I'm casting like this. If I go to my GoPro and I scroll through, when you go to your GoPro and you go down on the bottom, you can scroll through the clip. my hands are doing the same thing. It looks like this. That's what my hands look like when I'm fishing. So I'm making these super fast casts, and then I'm grabbing another rod and I'm doing the same thing. Or I've got Joe on throwing something a little. I might have a 4K shad, and he might have a chartreuse powder blueback, and that's usually a lot of the determination. Now, obviously, if the water's a little bit stained, I'm gonna typically go with more of a chartreuse or dark color. And then, of course, in the spring or cold water, that red's a big deal to me as well.
Absolutely. Guys, shout out to Cole and Jay up in the chat tonight. Cole's got to be getting ready to be a dad pretty soon. He got that baby in the oven.
Nice.
Good people, team 6. Dude, Cole is a good frog fisherman. He's a dang striper hammer, too. Y'all check out his latest video. Good friend of mine. I want to address this. I've got this question a few times this week. 6 cent speed wake is pretty close to the discontinued Strike King wake shad. Did they sell that mold? What's my input on both those baits? So I'm going to, luckily, I have a speed wake right here handy. This is out of a 6 cent Super 6 sack, which, by the way, makes great Christmas gift. So if you're looking for a gift for somebody, shameless plug, that's not shameless, use my code Baitman Super 6 with a 6 on it, and you'll get $10 off a Super 6 sack. But there's the speed wake, which is one of the hottest selling baits in the country right now. Every time 6 cents or Tackle Warehouse gets these things, they're out of stock for a good reason. Now, here is an OG Strike King wake shad. This is the original one. The new ones actually that were discontinued have a yellow card on them. Everyone says they look the same, but I'm just going to tell you guys, I feel like there's a lot of difference in those baits right here.
It's crazy.
Yeah, me and Epic Eric talked this morning on the phone for 30 minutes how to figure out the difference between the old red eye shads and the new ones. I'll tell you that here in just a minute. But the joint on the wake shad original Strike King is a lot different. It's actually not very durable. It tends to break quite a bit. This joint on the 6 cents is totally different. It's going to hold up a little bit better. This bait, a little bit smaller in comparison, just a little bit smaller. Casts better. This one the speed wake will not blow out, period. This one tends to cast like a tater chip and blows out. It's a good bait. From what I heard, little rumor is Strike King is thinking about bringing the wake shad back. The molds didn't catch on fire or nothing. The wake shad just didn't sell.
Oh,
exactly.
Imagine that. What they ought to bring.
Oh yeah, I got it from our little boxing here that we've never really got to. I got one thing. I got to plug myself too, Ronnie. I'm not trying to be all about myself tonight. I want to let y'all talk.
No,
but
plug away.
You guys that like to chase some smallmouth, or you want to throw a wake bait on an overcast day and be a little bit different, here it is. There's the Jaint Juice in the speed wake. Unfortunately, yeah, there you go. You see that nice purple, the light purple. If you remember Celebrity Jeopardy, Jaint Juice speed wake right there. I think they still got a few left, but really excited about that. We're not going to get to this unboxing. I'm just going to have to make a Justin Royal style unboxing video. Shout out to Royal. He's really good at that stuff, by the way.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Straight heaters, baby.
We'll watch. Love it.
He's a guy that I think sits around and watches YouTube, and he's not trying. He's actually soaking in the information, and it has made him a better fisherman. Like 100%.
Oh yeah. He's extremely humble, extremely unique, and very genuine.
I don't care what anybody does as long as they're authentic.
Exactly.
To me, I don't care what you do as long as you're authentic.
I don't try to get on here and say, guys, I'm a pro fisherman. If you don't throw this bait, you suck, dude. I'm into the freaking baits. I mean, I go fishing to play with the baits and figure out what works and what don't. I like the challenge of buying a $200 glide bait and going out there and catching a 5-pounder, and if I do, I put it up and I usually don't fish with it again. But
you know what my grandma used to say? She said, "Be yourself and don't sell waypoints." That was her only two deals.
Be yourself and don't sell waypoints. Yeah. There's some things I really don't agree with that go on in the fishing world, and maybe we have to make a.
That might be a whole nother podcast.
But we could make some people really mad. I also don't agree with using your cell phone during a tournament to call people and try to figure out what they're biting on or where they're at. You know, there's some guys that fish some really big tournaments that if you said, well, guess what, guys, this year you're not allowed to use a cell phone, I don't think they'd cash many checks.
Bro, if you took cell phones away from these guys around here, they'd be screwed.
Right.
Joe Don has a front row seat to see it.
Yeah,
Hey, you know what, Kevin? This dude right here has a unique front row seat to see how it really goes down.
Man, it's pretty insane to be honest with you.
These guys that are studs.
And the weird part of it is that you got all these people you see do well in these tournaments, and you know, like my fishing partner is a guy, full-time guide, and then I'm also fishing against these people, and you know the amount of people that you'll see. He's like, "Hey, look, so and so texted me asking how am I catching them on so and so." It gets pretty wild around here, but
it's crazy, dude. And I don't, you know, I'm not gonna put anybody on blast. I'm not about that, but Joe Don gets to see it. And I'm telling you, if you took that AT&T deal away from some of these guys, they'd be in trouble.
Dude, I see it. I hate to say it. I've seen it in buddy tournaments here. And that's one thing. My fishing partner says, listen, I work 55 hours a week. I'm on the cell phone all the time. And, you know, there's usually not a no cell phone rule in most buddy tournaments around here.
Yeah,
sure.
When he gets in the boat, he said, I'm turning that son of a gun off. This is my time. I want to be focused. I ain't worried about nobody else. I want to have fun. And, dude, mine goes in the glove box. You'll never see me on social media or YouTube streaming during a tournament and acting goofy, having fun on Facebook Live. If I fish a tournament, you won't hear from me till at the weigh-in. That's the ultimate social media post. When you,
I mean, I'll be honest, mine is on. I take work calls.
That's a different story.
I wish I didn't have to.
Completely different.
I wish I didn't have to, but he'll tell you firsthand. Like I take work calls, and it's terrible, but I mean it has to happen sometimes. But when it comes to calling people and getting information, that's insane to me. I just don't get it.
I get it. It's called being lazy. But anyway,
yeah.
I know what you mean though, Joe Don. I fished with the guy that he sells hunting real estate, and he's a dang good fisherman. His dad's one of the OGs here on Kentucky Lake, and he said, listen, I'll fish this tournament, but I have to have my cell phone on me. I'm like, okay, whatever. He said, I may get a call. I'm waiting on a guy to call me about this hunting land, and if he does and wants me to show it, I got to go. Like, you'll have to take me weigh in the fish. I got to go. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, because it's about $7 million.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, well, you know, if you got to sell that land and make, you know, $100,000 or $200,000, go for it. But you know that didn't happen. But I get that there's some legitimate reasons to have a cell phone and on, but
of course
I've seen some illegitimate reasons.
Yeah, the other reasons are not worth it.
All right. Anyways, we'll be on another podcast. We've been almost 2 hours. Now I've like literally opened like 4 baits.
Yeah, and I got to get up at 5 because some of us got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I do too. Tomorrow night.
You gonna throw that Vega frog in the morning, eh?
I'm gonna go whack their butts on a Vega in the morning.
All right. We're gonna take one last question. I'm gonna go with Shady Banks because you've talked about it quite a bit. He says, "How has Livescope changed your guiding, and how long have you been using it?"
So I've had it in the boat for about 3 or 4 months now. I've worked with it and played with it in other buddies' boats for about a year now. It's changed it a little bit now. As far as guiding goes, kind of what it does is if they're not there, we pack up and move. Now, I'm not really telling my customers, hey, cast here to catch this fish. I mean, sometimes I am, but it's changed a lot. And I want to follow up with Sean Z said, Ronnie, what's your take on using Livescope to find fish in grass? It's not a weakness. It is a strength. And the reason is you don't have to necessarily look out and see a fish and see your bait fall and the fish grab your bait. You need to see movement. So if I'm in the grass and I see movement ahead, I know that there's a fish there. And then what I do, I've got a method I call fire and forget. Once I spot the fish, I know how far away from the boat they are. I make my cast, and then I forget. I just leave that live scope and I fish that bait the way that I know that bait is meant to be presented. Now there are certain instances where that might be different. Suspended fish for one, probably the main instance, but uh, it's changed it a lot. For instance, today we're sitting in a huge grass flat, and there's an area where there's just a little bit of a bald spot, and I look over and I see the fish, and I'm kind of on top of them. So I move my boat over to the side of them to where we can cast back towards them, and I've spot locked, but my trolling motor's facing this way, and we're fishing over here, but my trolling motor's facing here, and we make a couple casts, and then I just turn to look, make sure they're there, and I go back. So it's changed a lot of the way, especially creek channel fishing. We're not really casting. I'm just kind of going through the creek channel with my trolling motor, looking. There's a stump, there's a fish. Power pole's down, fish that fish. Pick it up, looking. See one over there, power pole down, fish that fish. So in that case, it's changed a lot, but it helps me to eliminate water. I pull up to a point with a lot of grass, and I side image it, and I don't see any fish sitting on the edge of the grass. Throw the trolling motor down, look, and if I don't see any movement around that grass, then I'm kind of out of there.
I like it. All right,
it's a game changer.
I think seeing the whole school pull off is been a
seeing the school. I had a solid school of fish today that I saw at about 50 foot out, and I brought the entire school within. I mean, you could have netted them. That's the trolling motor.
That's crazy. We've been on an hour 45 minutes. Ronnie's got to get up early in the morning, and I got to make a thumbnail. Again, guys, after the video is done, process sometime tomorrow. Comment, and the next video I'll do a drawing, or next live stream I'll draw for a winner of some Baitman specials, and maybe throw in some 6-cent stuff. Going to have a big giveaway right before Christmas too. Maybe bigger than my last one. I am going to load somebody up with everything I think they need for fishing for 2020. We're talking 6 cents, spinnerbaits, jigs. Man, I might got some sand tone jigs, some spinnerbaits I can head out. I know Ronnie likes them. Might throw in some bass tricks. We're just going to load them up. Everything they need to go fishing. Probably about it.
It's awesome.
So I like giving stuff back to the people. You guys give your time to listen to me rant about stupid stuff once or twice, maybe 4 times a week if I'm lucky. And I appreciate everyone that tunes in. 2020 sucked, but it's been fun on YouTube. But want to shout out to Ronnie and Jodan for joining me. Do me a huge favor, guys. Make sure you go follow Ron on Instagram, Facebook. If you want to learn to fish in Texas, if you want to have an entertaining day on the water, there's a lot of guys out there, but I promise you'll have a ton of fun and catching fish with Ronnie. I consider you both good friends, but I'm going to sign off for the night. Got some computer work to do. Got to get working on another TV show once again, and I appreciate